Honda plans to phase out internal combustion by 2040. It's no secret at this point that the Japanese automakers are pretty behind in the electric vehicle race. But even as more and more of their Western competitors seem to waffle on phasing out internal combustion, Japan Inc.'s car brands aren't sitting still. Well, some of them aren't, anyway. Today we're going to look at Honda, which now seems to be really shoring things up for a battery-centric future starting at the end of the next decade. Also on today's Friday edition of Critical Materials, Tesla CEO Elon Musk does some waffling of his own on supercharger spending. And another EV competitor from China gets its day at the New York Stock Exchange. As I've said before, you shouldn't count out Toyota, the world's biggest automaker by volume and a massively profitable one, in the EV race. At the same time, Toyota likes to hedge its bets, hyping up its hybrids and refusing to abandon its hydrogen plans. Then you have Nissan, which often suffers from a terminal case of being Nissan. Mazda, which feels rather asleep at the wheel. And Subaru, which to me feels permanently stuck in the previous decade. So where does that leave Honda, the engineer-led firm that's always the small and scrappy one? Can it punch above its weight class on the EV front? It certainly sounds like it's making moves to get there. After all, even if the rate of EV adoption is slowing in some places, it isn't in China, and the market is clearly moving in the electrified direction. At Honda's annual financial meeting today in Japan, CEO Toshihiro Mibe announced the long-term plan. Bring more and more things in-house, where Honda has direct control. That's a very Tesla-esque play, once born out of necessity because few suppliers even made the parts it needed for the EVs it wanted. Unlike the old days of automaking, where so many parts and systems were outsourced to countless different supplier companies. Vertical integration allows car companies to move far more quickly on multiple fronts. But getting the point where automakers can do that is no small task. Here is automotive news to explain. We changed our strategy a little bit in terms of electrification, especially batteries, Mibe said. We are shifting to a vertical type system to sustain a total electrification business. To do that, we must internalize these technologies. The software too must also be supported by Honda itself. Mibe said Honda would give more details of the strategy on Thursday in an annual business update. The strategy is a throwback to the earliest days of the auto industry when Ford tried to make everything from rubber to glass under its own umbrella. The approach is seeing a resurgence with its adaptation to EVs by emerging players from China such as the EV heavyweight BYD. BYD has been able to control cost and technology by organizing its own supply chain vertically. In Europe, Renault Group, Volvo and Stellantis are among the automakers that have brought production of electric motors and batteries in-house. This fiscal year, it budgeted record spending on R&D at 1.19 trillion yen, $7.65 billion, a 23% increase over the previous year. Recall also that Honda is building up huge battery and EV development operations in Ohio and Canada as well, so it's definitely laying the groundwork right now. In the meantime, Honda's rolling out more hybrids, which can be sold for higher profit margins that will hopefully power this all-electric future. If we can do this, we will have more power to generate cash and charge the transition to electrification, Mibe said, according to the story. Honda's goal is to phase out internal combustion entirely, which may be a more realistic goal than the 2030 to 2035 targets many automakers are now retreating from. Honda is also set to unveil a next-generation EV platform in 2026, previewed by the controversial Zero Series designs seen at CES this year. In the meantime, Honda at least has tailwinds from a record-breaking year of operating profits in 2023 at 1.38 trillion yen, $8.87 billion. Can Honda succeed in this race? It certainly doesn't want to depend on General Motors forever. Source: Reposted and summarized from @insideevs.